Hi, it's Dion here. I just wanted to make a short video about my experience taking the course in recovery peer support specialist. Um, I took the course last week from Monday through Friday, and it was a really interesting course to take. I mean, they taught so much that I never even took into consideration would be needed in that particular field of work. But they went into ethics, what's acceptable as far as sharing of your story with a peer, what's appropriate behavior, what's not appropriate behavior. This was the book that we got. I had to have mine mailed out. I didn't get it till Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday. But it's Foundation for Recovery, Peer Recovery Support Specialist Participant Manual, third edition. This is a very informative book. Every single chapter, and there's 5 sections, and after every section you do a quiz. I got 100% on every single quiz I took, except the last quiz, which was a quiz on the whole manual. I only got an 82%. I was really disappointed in that because I thought I would have done better, but I did pass the course. I got a certificate. In order for me to get an internship, I have to get a copy of my high school diploma or transcripts. I had my high school diploma, but it got shuffled around when my mother passed away. A lot of my stuff that was at her house kind of got lost somehow. So I'm reaching out to the Archdiocese of Chicago because I went to a private Catholic school, an all-girls school in Chicago for high school, and I have to reach out to them in order to have them send me a copy of my transcripts. I put the request for the transcripts in the mail yesterday. I have to go check the mailbox in a little while to make sure that it was, because when I put it in the mailbox, I did it after work, so I wasn't sure if the mail had already come or if it was still in the process of being on the way to be dropped off. So I'm gonna go out there and check in a little while and see if it actually came or not, or if it's still sitting out there. I'm gonna bring it in and put it back in the mail on Monday, so it's not sitting in there and having somebody steal it, because I have a money order in there for $10. You had to pay a $10 money order for them for the time they have to take to go through the archives and find your transcripts. I'm a little nervous about that. I'm a little nervous about that whole procedure because I'm afraid they're not going to find my transcripts. Although the name of my school is in their archives. I checked that out first. So because my high school that I went to, I graduated in '97, and the high school I went to closed down several years back. I don't remember the exact year, but it closed at some point in time in the last, I don't know if it was 10, 15 years, I don't know. But I know it's closed down now. So I'm gonna check the mailbox later and see if they actually took the letter that I sent, the request for the transcripts, if it was taken with the mail, or I'm gonna, if it isn't, I'm going to bring it back in the house and put it out in the mail on Monday, tomorrow. When the mail is gonna be picked up, they'll pick it up. But anyway, it was a really interesting course, and I really feel it's the right fit for me as far as jobs go. I have to admit, though, it was a little bit intimidating being in the class. There were 20 or 21 other participants, and what made it so intimidating to me is I was the only one there on methadone. Everyone else did it through NA or AA, and that didn't bother me so much. Normally, it wouldn't bother me. What bothered me is them looking at me and thinking that I'm not qualified to be a recovery peer support specialist because I'm on methadone. Therefore, my recovery is not legit, and I'm not fit to work in this industry because uh, I didn't get clean the traditional way, which was through meetings and all that crap. I don't mean to call it crap. I don't mean to disrespect it because it does work for some people, and if it does work for you, by all means, do your thing. I mean, that's whatever it takes for you to get clean. I say go for it. But everyone was pretty respectful to me, and they were pretty okay with whatever I did to get clean. And we were taught actually in the course that whatever a person's pathway to get clean is, to get into recovery, we should respect. As a peer, we're not there to tell them what to do, to judge them, or to direct them in one way or another. We're just there to support them with whatever choice they make. If they're using heroin every day and they decide to cut back and only use it 5 days a week instead of 7, we're supposed to applaud their efforts and continue to encourage them to keep moving in the right path. That was a little bit difficult to deal with because, that's what I want to tell people what to do, but I want to, if I see somebody that isn't, I guess I'm, now that I'm talking, saying it out loud, I guess I would have to say it's the wrong way to think about things. I mean, because what I wanted to say, but I didn't say it because I caught myself and I understood what I was thinking was wrong. I want to say if I see them not doing it the way that I think it needs to be done, or the way that I feel is the most appropriate way, then I want to tell them, no, you got to do it this way. And I realize now that that's the wrong attitude to take. Whatever pathway they choose to get into recovery is their business. And then there may be people that choose to do it through NA or AA. I just wish I could tell them that, if this way that you're thinking about doing it doesn't work for you, because for about 80% of people that are opiate addicts, and they try to do it through NA or AA, 80% of those people will not be successful. And they'll walk away from that situation feeling like they failed, feeling like they really didn't try hard enough, and they'll walk away with all these feelings about themselves that are negative. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I just got through watching a documentary about opiate replacement therapy. It was an education on opiate replacement therapy and who should be in opiate replacement therapy and who shouldn't, and what happens when people who belong in opiate replacement therapy go and get in regular traditional treatment that doesn't provide opiate replacement therapy in that treatment program. They have a much higher chance of not being successful in that program. And when you don't succeed, especially when you have people telling you you relapsed, now you gotta start over. See, the kind of treatment that I'm in, they don't say to you, oh, you had a relapse, so now you gotta start from ground zero. Like, let's say, for example, that I was clean for 15 years on methadone, and but during the course of that 15 years, after, let's say, 10 years, I got off the methadone, and I couldn't stay clean on my own, and I had a brief situation where I used heroin again for maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks, and then I went back on methadone and got back on the program that worked for me. a lot of people would say, well, you just blew 10 years of sobriety down the drain. Now you gotta start from ground zero. Well, people in opiate replacement therapy programs usually don't say that. They say you had a brief reoccurrence that occurred. Another thing they taught was the wordage and the vocabulary that you should use. We shouldn't use things like an addict or relapse. Those are negative connotations that you shouldn't use. They gave, it's called an addictionary and dictionary for addicts. Um, but it's the addictionary gives you the language that should be used instead of the more negative connotation type of language. But if you're in opiate replacement theory, if you're in opiate replacement therapy, and you had a reoccurrence, they call it a reoccurrence, not a relapse, after 10 years because you got off the methadone, and then you went back on methadone shortly after, they would not discredit you that 10 years. You still have those 10 years that you got. I mean, that brief recurrence that took place does not take away the 10 years that you put together. And you can still carry on with your recovery and just, I mean, you had that brief reoccurrence of 2 or 3 weeks, and you know what took place. That's between you and God, if you will. I mean, if you believe in God. I mean, I'm on the fence about it. I don't know exactly what I believe, but you don't have to say that you have to start from ground zero again. You start where you left off. You were 10 years now. You got plenty of time to get back on track and get back to doing what you know works for you. But they wouldn't say that they're going to take away the 10 years of clean time that you got, because technically you weren't out using for years at a time. You used for a couple weeks, and it was just something that you learned. You learned that the opioid replacement therapy is the system of treatment that works for you, for your opiate addiction, and you're going back to it because that's what works best for you. And if you get back on the methadone or Suboxone, what have you, and you stay clean from that point on, there's no reason why you can't just omit those 2 or 3 weeks that you had the reoccurrence and just say, that was a mistake I had, but I'm going to continue on with my recovery and just forget about those 2 or 3 weeks. And just me, myself, and I know it happened. I don't need to share that with the rest of the world. And they went on to have more successful clean time, and they just carried on. And after 15 years, even with the couple weeks of a recurrence, they still have their 15 years. Nobody was going to steal it away from them. But I'm just waiting to get my high school transcripts. And hopefully then I can go and get an internship and do what I need to do with my life. I just know that I need to get busy on this right away, because the job that I'm in, I don't like at all. And I worked yesterday with a guy that was a real asshole, and I made a comment about, because there's 2 registers, and I normally work on register 1, but I got there a little later yesterday because the Uber that I took to work, the Uber driver didn't speak English, and I have a PIN that I have to use before the Uber even takes off. I have to give him this PIN. I kept giving him the PIN like 5 or 6 times, and he kept putting it in wrong because he couldn't understand what I was saying. he was just guessing at what I was saying. And after, I think, 5 or 6 attempts at putting in this pin and then getting it wrong, it finally locked him out and said it wouldn't let him try to put the pin in any further because he already got it wrong numerous times. So he was motioning for me to get out of the car, and I'm like, but you haven't taken me anywhere yet. And it was pointless for me to even continue to try to conversate with him because he couldn't understand a word I was saying. And I was on the phone with my son at work, and I was saying to my son that I can't stand this when people take these jobs where you have to deal with the general public and they can't even speak English. I have nothing against people from foreign lands. That's not what the issue was. I mean, this is America. We bring people from other countries to this country all the time to live the American dream. But don't come to America, soak up the resources of what America has to offer, and not give back anything. And when I mean give back something, I mean at least learn enough of the language so that you can, when you do have a job, you can communicate with the general public. I mean, it wasn't fair to me yesterday that I had to get out of that Uber, pay for another Uber, a second Uber, and it cost more money that second time. And I still haven't been reimbursed for the first Uber that I never even took. I tried to go on their website yesterday, and it was pretty difficult to navigate the situation, and so I'm still working on trying to get a refund for that first ride I took because I was charged twice. I was charged for the first ride and I was charged for the second ride. And all because this guy couldn't understand me saying 4 digits to him, 4 numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4. He didn't have a clue what I was saying. And I'm not ridiculing him for not knowing the language. What I'm upset about is the fact that he took a job where he may have to interact with the general public. I mean, I know in most cases when you take an Uber, you get in, you take your ride, you get out. It's the end of it. You don't have to say much. But my particular rides, I have to give them the 4-digit PIN in order to get them to start the vehicle and let us go. And the reason I implemented this PIN aspect is because several months ago, well, maybe a year ago or so, 9 months to a year ago, I was noticing a lot of charges to Ubers that I didn't feel like I took. I mean, so I felt like somebody was hacking into my Uber account and taking free rides on my account. I wasn't 100% sure if that was what was going on, but it was just showing all these different Uber rides. And I was like, man, it seems like a lot more Ubers than I actually took. So I implemented this PIN to kind of protect me, because this way, there's no way they could know the PIN, because the PIN only shows up on my phone. And so I'm hoping that's enough to protect me. And I've noticed ever since I've been using the PIN, I haven't had any issues with extra rides being on my account that I didn't take. So it's doing its job. I mean, so that's why I actually have a little bit of interaction with the Uber driver that I'm taking the ride from, at least enough to give him the PIN and whatnot. But this guy just could not get the PIN correct, no matter how hard he tried. And the truth is, he shouldn't have taken a job where he may have to deal with the general public. Even an Uber driver may have to deal with the public, and most of the public speaks English. I know Spanish is a big language here, but still, I would still say that English is the predominant language of the land. And if you can't speak enough English to communicate with a customer, then I just don't think you should have that job. It's not about being racist or being stereotypical against anyone. I'm just saying, this is America, and if you get a job in America, you should know how to speak English before you take that job. That's all I'm trying to say. It's nothing against anyone. It's nothing against foreign Americans. And I have nothing against foreign people in the least bit. I'm just saying it's important that you know enough of the language to communicate with your customers before you take a job like that, because you just don't know if, you know, you may have to communicate with them in some way, shape, or form. But anyway, I think I've said enough for one day. I didn't want to make this a long video. I just wanted to jump on and tell you how my class went. And it went very well. And I'm excited for the opportunity to get my internship and start working in this field, because I think that with the knowledge I gained over the last week, I think that I'm going to do well. Okay, so until next time, guys, I bid you a good day and talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.